So, on this Lent season, we are going to find out two different people that helped Jesus in some way, and then what was the real significance, or what I am picking up from those two characters. You may already know that the other two characters that, or the women that we discussed in other sessions. So, this one, first of all, I would like to take your attention to the person who forced to help Jesus. Yes, Simon of Cyrene. So the theologians or the people around that time, or people who gone through the studies, mentioning that he must have over there for the festival of Passover, and then you can see that Matthew, and Luke explained that in the gospel that he was forced to support Jesus, and then it was not really clear like how long he was helping Jesus, but it was clear that he was forced by the soldiers to take Jesus' cross for some time because Jesus was so tired, and then soldiers couldn't resist because they wanted Jesus to be alive while they're crucifying him. And that's the reason why soldiers asked, or forced Simon of Cyrene to do that task. So I just want to go through that act. So we can see that Simon is not telling anything. There is no conversation that we can see from the gospel. So he was picking up that action only because of fear, maybe, or maybe because of that push or strong ask from the soldiers. Especially during that time, they couldn't resist, and they know that this great leader is going to get punished, and there may be a bit of like a stress or anxiety for Simon, and then he didn't get, and he couldn't even, this is my reflection, he couldn't even say no because he um, must know that at that time, if he says something that will be dangerous, and then he will be in trouble and his life will be in trouble. And that must be the reason that he agreed to carry Jesus' cross. Um, but what happened? Yes, he did that act for that time with a force, like with an um, uh, external pressure. But his name is there in the gospel, and then we all talk about that act that he did during that time, isn't it? What do you feel about it? So I just want to reflect and then find out what is that act of Simon's act during the way of the cross giving us, what is the significance of that act during our life? That's what's one point that I want you to think. What is the real significance? Is it why that act we reflect during the way of the cross, and do we need that? So my personal reflections on that is there will be different incidents that we are pushed by someone else to do something for someone's good, and thinking about or talking about only the good things that you're doing. There are many different areas that you will be pushed or trapped to do lots of evil things. But I'm thinking about the good things that you were compelled to do for some reasons, or you become an accidental missionary worker, or accidental a church helper. What someone pushed you to do something, maybe becoming an usher, becoming a communion minister, or a person to help in the old age home, whatever the church activities or compassionate actions that you are doing with someone's push or request, that can connect to Simon's act because he didn't want, or he was not planning that I'll go and help Jesus because he's really tired and I need to help him because I know Jesus is a good person. It was not his intentional act. But if you look at Veronica in the way of the cross, the act that she did from her inside, it was not by anybody's instruction. It was her own will, her own confidence, and then commitment, or that's courage to come and do that action. But this is different. Simon's one somebody forced, but still he didn't deny. He did that act. Do not know with full commitment or not, but he did that. But again, he got reward for that. And you can see that looking at the Christian history, his lots of different details about his family became Christians and saints and all those. I'm not going into that, but it's more of like a seemingly forced. Simon is actually placing a unique action. So I'm picking up the significance. If you are getting some action or request to do something even though you don't like it. And if you think that that is spreading the good news, that is connected to your core value, pick it up because there is a significance for that in your spiritual journey. That's what Simon's incident is showing. The next person that I want to mention about the Joseph, the person who gave the tomb to Jesus, the Joseph of Arimathea. And we can see he was rich, he got a tomb that nobody really used. And then if you look at that act is happening at that time because there were prophecies about the tomb and then how Jesus will be buried and all those things in Old Testament. And having this person in the gospel, we can see that all the prophecies are coming true. But again, did he do that action by himself or his own mindset, like what Veronica did, or did somebody ask you to do? It was not really clear whether it's his own action or not. But looking at the scriptures, it's like he came and offered the tomb. So, what is that significance? He was a respected man in that time. So if you look at the current secular world, he may be like a very powerful leader and has his own group with their own values. And then Jesus was an enemy, and then he was crucified because he was against these rules that he was believing at that time. But he was ready to accept this leader. And that's clearly showing that even though I believe in the system, these are the values that I value. And then I support that person who is showing that value. Is that a courageous act? I believe so, because even though you have power and then money, you should have that courage to stay outside that normal flow. And if you like, what the image that I'm getting now, it's that chosen's image. Like, and it's easy to swim with the flow, but it's so hard to swim against the flow. And that's what actually Joseph Arimathea did, isn't it? This was it's clearly a courageous action, ensuring that Jesus should have a decent burial, because he clearly telling the whole world at that time and even now that Jesus was a great person, and then he need to celebrate his life in a proper way. Like, that's what, if you look at the funerals happening, they'll be celebrating that life on earth in a very decent manner. And then sometimes I was always doubt all the people, even though people hate a person while they were living, they will talk positive things and so many good things while during their funeral or after that. Sometimes if you say some good word or maybe even one word while they were on earth living, that must have helped them in a better way. But anyway, Joseph of Arimathea did this courageous act, demonstrating that he believed in Jesus, even though he was in fear. was ready to give this one. So two individuals and the actions. That's what I'm gonna reflect in. One of action is an unexpected encounter. So Simon got an unexpected encounter, but he picked it up with no regret, and then there is no from him. And at the same time, I didn't know. I don't think or I didn't read anywhere that Joseph Arimathea was planning or waiting to, donate this tomb, because we all knew that the Jesus died on Good Friday, and then he was not. It was more of like an unexpected encounter that he got, and then did that courageous act. And then it's more of like an act of compassion and courage, right? Even though Simon didn't talk, he must have felt that pain that Jesus was going through, because he was having that pain on his shoulders, and then obviously he will feel for Jesus. And then same with Joseph. He was doing proper funeral and burial during that time, so he was compassionate as well. And these two people, if you look at from a human perspective, Simon and Joseph, they're both showing that humanity, that human perspective to a victim, right? So Jesus was dying there. Mary, mother of Jesus, and all the disciples were helpless, and they didn't have any real financial stability or financials that time to do that proper burial or anything. But picking up that element of humanity, Joseph helped to do that burial. And even with the Simon, he was becoming a real human by helping other person. So um, this thing, it's clearly showing that if you are really believing in good values, you can even follow the good people without really showcasing that you are a follower, because you are following them in your heart. And then when the need comes, you can really be the followers. So I encourage everybody looking at these two men in the way of the cross, and how those encounters happened, and how that helped in their life, and even now encouraging us to become a better version of ourselves, and become helping us to become a better human being. Yes, that's the reflection on Day of the Cross for this week. This is Dominus Nisi on 88.9 FM, and your host Bismi Palati.